So, hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728, and I was trying to think of ways that one might discourage a Governor Cuomo, like New York State's Governor Cuomo's advances. So, I'll get into that in a second. I am, of course, Earthling yada yada yada, and I have this YouTube channel and I want to be anonymous, and I have a couple of degrees. I got a scholarship to get some of those degrees a while back. I've traveled a bit, which I think is pretty cool, and I was an ex-army reservist. So that's it for me. So this morning, for some reason, I had a dream where I felt like I was being sexually harassed by somebody who was above me in the rankings of, maybe it was in military or something like that. I can't really tell. But number one, I don't know if it's sexual harassment if you actually like the person or not, but I wasn't interested in the person. And I just felt, I don't know if it's because I had read the title. It wasn't an actual story. Maybe I'd read about Cuomo night before or the day before, and it wasn't him really. But I just had this sequence of scenes in my head where this person was putting pressure on me, but laying out innuendo, suggesting that, that kind of thing is something that they wanted. And I was just thinking, God, I'm just going to have to, quit this job. I'm just going to have to leave this job, because there's no way that I'm going to do that kind of thing. I can't, no. And I guess maybe after I woke up, I was thinking to myself, well, no, maybe I don't have to quit. Maybe I can try different things if I was in a situation like that, which is pretty unlikely to happen in the future. But let's say I was in a situation like that. Maybe there are things that I could do before I decided to file a court case that can drag on forever and, just make upheaval in my life, or before I just decide to start looking for another job. Maybe I like the job, maybe I like everything about the job except for the person who's pressuring me. And I want to make this really clear, and I know that no matter how clear I make it, somebody's still going to misunderstand. I am not coaching from the bench and saying that women in situations where they are being sexually harassed, that they should do this or they should do that, or it's their fault, or da 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 da. Everybody knows their own individual situation. And I definitely know that there are things that I would do now, having lived more of life, than I would have done if I had been sexually harassed or in whatever situation that I might be, referring to in the past. And there are things that I would probably do in the future that I would have learned, that I will learn in the future, and I will understand and I will appreciate. Yes, certain things are wrong 100%, but let's say, for example, suing people. I'm glad that it is an option for people, but in order to sue somebody, you have to go looking for a lawyer. You have to hope that you get a good lawyer. You have to hope that you get a good judge. You have to hope that you get a good prosecutor. Well, I guess it's not prosecutor, that's a civil case kind of thing. And you have to hope and hope and hope and hope and hope that at the end of all this stuff, you are not just stuck with the other person's court fees because you couldn't prove blah, 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 or whatever the case is. Life is hard. So if there's a way to avoid problems, or there's a way to recognize that there are a lot of different ways to deal with a situation, it's like global warming. It's good to have a whole lot of different ways to deal with a situation rather than to just have one or a few and you try one thing and it doesn't work, and now you're out of options. So for me personally, I think it's great to have a whole lot of different options that one can choose to try and see if one of them works without much problems. So anyway, I was thinking, in a case where somebody is sexually harassing me, it means that stuff that I'm doing or saying or wearing is arousing them, or maybe just the idea of me, of my body, is arousing to them. And that's great. Now, I know many women in the past have said things like, hey, I wasn't dressed in any way provocative. I didn't wear makeup. I wore, like, what are those things that you wear around your neck? Like turtlenecks. And I covered up and I did everything and nothing worked. And, well, yeah, I guess in some situations, some of those things will not work. But one thing that I think is probably a good option, because it seemed to have worked for her, is Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish said that she had been sexually assaulted or raped or something. And she said that one of the methods that she used to turn off guys in situations going forward in her life from that point was that she decided that in certain situations she would be the aggressor. So if there was somebody who was interested in her, for example, and she was not interested in that person, she would be like, yeah, let's go and do this, and you and I, and we can, and just be totally turn the attention around to the person who's trying to give her attention. And I guess in that way, she came off as a crazy person. And I can say as a guy that it's really kind of confusing, and maybe it's sometimes off-putting to have somebody who's attracted to you and pursuing you. That can be kind of it can throw you off your game, definitely. So that's one thing that can be done in terms of your behavior, I suppose. Another thing that I guess one can do as well is just do gross things, like picking one's nose, or maybe chewing gum and sticking it in the bottom of tables, or not using any makeup whatsoever in a situation like that, or not using any perfume or anything like that. Maybe some roll-on. But yeah, I remember this girl, she was telling me, but I don't think it's exactly the same situation. Because I remember there was this girl in my office, and I was telling her, you smell pretty good. And she was like, oh, I didn't put on any perfume or anything. I just used some body spray or something like that, she said. And I'm like, body spray sounds like it's perfume. So, I mean, there might be perfume in products that you use. If let's say, for example, it's like a roll-on or something. Or, wow, this totally came to my head. I remember there was a girl who liked me. Slightly overweight, but she was interested in me. And part of the reason that I was not interested in her, part of the reason why I wasn't that interested in her was because of the smell of her. I think it was her roll-on, her deodorant. It wasn't an awful, nobody sells awful smelling roll-on. That's not it. It's just I hated the smell of that particular roll-on that she used. If I had really liked her, maybe I might have just told her that, but I don't know. What I'm realizing is that I can really just go through a list of things that have turned me off of people, And that's probably something that someone who might be being harassed, those are the things that maybe they could potentially use to discourage someone, in terms of, if you know that someone hates a particular smell, you take note of that, and then you buy that brand of roll-on, and you make sure that they you always have that on, anytime that they are around. I remember there was a girl that I did really like, definitely really liked, and one of the last times that I saw her, um, she happened she happened to have gunk in her eyes and what seemed like a booger in her nose. So that particular day, I don't recall being that friendly to her. I hope I wasn't really rude or anything, but I know those things. You could just wipe them off. You just wipe away the booger, you wipe away the gunk in her eyes, and that's the end, right? But that was like garlic, and I was like a vampire, or holy water, or a cross or something. I still liked her, but I was not really too into her with those two things going on. I also remember that there were several girls that I liked only with one particular hairstyle, which was like, for example, if two girls, one girl had her hair cut short, the other one had, I think, braids in her hair, and when they were wearing that, I was like, oh, it's so pretty. And when they had their hair pulled back, or the other one didn't have braids, she had some other hairstyle, I was kind of like, they kind of just completely disappeared off of my radar. It's like I felt nothing, like a zero for them. So I guess those are two other things that someone could use to maybe get somebody off of their case, perhaps. Like if you're a guy, you can grow a beard, or grow your hair really long, or dye your hair, or don't dye your hair, or shave your head, or get a crew cut, or adjust the type of roll-on that you use, or even the way that you talk. It's not really cool of me to say, perhaps, but I remember there's this girl who I kind of liked, and then she cursed, which is not shouldn't really be a big deal, but it kind of was, and it kind of got me like, ew, that's so I guess one of the things that can be done, because like I said, if you're going to take somebody to court, it is just such a long, lengthy, expensive process. If you're going to go to HR, maybe HR is beholden onto them. Maybe you're just going to dig yourself into a deeper hole by bringing in a third person into it, whether it is the courts or HR, or the boss, or whatever. And one of the things that you could just do, for example, is eat lots of pepperoni if the person doesn't like that, or garlic, or whatever the person hates as a food. You could just eat that, or express an interest in things that the person dislikes. And in the same way that we become attractive to other people, we win somebody's heart by expressing an interest in something that they're interested in, or dressing a certain way, or cutting our hair a certain way, or adjusting how we smell. That can be reversed to get somebody to not be as interested. And yes, in a perfect world, and even in the world that we do live in, everybody's responsible for their own actions. When it comes to being attracted to someone else, I'm not saying that anybody is supposed to act out how they feel, but from both ends, I get being revolted by somebody and they just being there all the time, regardless. And I also get feeling that you like someone and you personally would like a way to stop feeling that way. Um, and if even worse, you might be doing stuff about it to try to get the person interested when they aren't. And there's no way that they're going to be. So, yeah, those are my 2 cents. Feel free to give me your opinion. What do you think could potentially work to get somebody to stop being interested in you? Drop a comment, give us a like if you feel like it, and any of those feedbacks that you like. If you had a piece on YouTube, have a good one. Peace.